Live, guys. Welcome, everyone, to the Monday live stream. It's the Crypto Lark here. I've got a lot of exciting guests with me today. Down below me, that is Nathan from Cryptonauts. Hello.
Hey, cadets. How doing?
On the other side of the screen here, I have got Bo from Cryptocurrency Australia. Bo, welcome back.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Lark.
Absolutely. And down below him, we've got Alex from Nuggets News. Alex, welcome.
Thanks, Lark.
Super excited to have all you guys back on. Nathan's first time having the Cryptonauts on the show, which is exciting. Bo, it's been a long time, and Alex has been a few months as well, so really excited to have all you guys back on. These crypto chats are always so much fun for me, and I think let's just dive right into it. Bitcoin price predictions. We see a lot of numbers coming out. What is your take on Bitcoin price predictions? Are they worth giving any weight to? And do you have your own prediction for an end-of-year Bitcoin price? Bo, you want to jump in?
Sure. Yeah, the way I see it is I always like to look at the guys that are heavily involved in the data science side of things, and also people that have been around this space for a long time that have been through this roller coaster more than once. So one of the guys I always look to is Tom Lee of Fundstrat. So I give this guy a lot of street cred. Now, his price prediction for the end of the year has been around 20 to 25K. Now, if we look at where Bitcoin hit last year at the peak of its bull run, I don't think it would be unreasonable to expect his prediction by the end of the year at the peak of another run. So when we look at other predictions, hitting 50K, hitting 60K, there's not a lot of substance I find behind that. So the way I like to look at it is I kind of take a lot of the predictions from people very, very experienced in the industry, and I kind of correlate and try and find kind of a medium or an average price. So look, towards the end of the year, as I said, I don't think it would be unreasonable to see what Tom is saying, between 20 to 25K, should we get that recovery that we need.
Alex, you want to hop in next? What do you think about the Bitcoin price predictions overall, and what is your end-of-year target?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, there's
fantasy,
a couple.
we could say.
I remember back in the day, I thought if Bitcoin ever got to $3,000, I'd be over the moon, and if Ethereum ever got to $100, I'd be over the moon. So I think you've got to remember that we're still at the stage where market caps are small in the scheme of things compared to gold and stock markets, blah blah blah. So don't be surprised if Bitcoin does go to 50K in the next 12 months. I think it's very doable, but I think realistic, somewhere making new all-time highs before the end of the year is definitely possible.
I feel like if we do hit that 50K mark, though, that's one of those. A lot of people didn't learn from the last run up. If you see it hitting 50K, you may be looking at a situation like, hey, I might want to take some profits here at some point. A lot of the key indicators from that big run up were just basically screaming out, this is overbought. Get out there and, be willing to take a little bit of that profit out. And not enough people did, I think. Nathan, what do you think?
So for me, I think, first of all, I'd like to say that, nobody knows what's going to happen. We can only just give our opinions. And I believe that, I might not want to hear this, but I think we're going to sit sideways all the way till this time, 2019, just based on the past experiences and past, history of Bitcoin. Right now, it's just long-term holders. That's the only people that are still in the game. All of us are still holding. It's a good time to buy. Yeah. And it might make some runs, but it's just been going sideways. So right at the moment, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
It'll you guys hear about the SEC and stuff like that, and how Congress released that article
saying that Bitcoin is not a security. That one.
Yeah, that one, and also Binance and Malta. I feel like Congress also, they have a key hearing coming up where they're going to talk about how cryptocurrency is going to be the future. So We'll see how that goes.
I saw that news and I thought that's kind of funny. Congress sitting around talking about, the future of money, right? They seem like the least qualified people to do it in a lot of ways, just for various different reasons. But it is hard to make cryptocurrency predictions without a doubt. Personally,
the best thing.
Go ahead.
Add one real quick. So how I know that it's going to go up. This is kind of a joke. It's you hodl, you hold on until you really don't want to sell, but you got to pay rent. And so as soon as you sell, then it goes up.
Inevitably, without a doubt. I look at it and I'm very bullish. I'm permanently optimistic, and that may be one of my downfalls, but I look at it and I think we are definitely moving in the right direction. I just see so much incredibly bullish news going on. And it's the BlackRock news, it's all these little stories we see coming out all the time. But what would you think is the biggest thing that's likely to move prices in a substantial way? Do you think there's any one thing that we might actually see that's going to give us that push?
Yeah, I do, and it's a good question, Lark. I think it's a Bitcoin ETF. So, and I'm not the only one that says that. I think an ETF providing essentially a gateway for some major money to get involved. And it's not just that. I think there's also a symbolic side to an ETF being approved, and it's not government endorsement, but it's the closest thing to it. It's like, hey, okay, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is an alternative asset class. We are prepared to approve a traditional exchange traded product that will then facilitate massive amounts of money to come in. But they're also, in the same token, they're also approving the custodianship and the security of Bitcoin with the approval of an ETF, because that is one of the major issues that has been holding them back, is essentially custodianship. Is how are these funds going to keep the Bitcoin safe? So I think an ETF is something that would most definitely drive the price, hopefully upwards.
Hopefully upwards. And we've seen a lot of really positive custodianship news coming in. We have Coinbase, we have Ledger, we have Zappo, and a whole host of other companies. I see the Winklevoss twins have recently invested in something called Vault 12 that was only a private sale ICO for basically custodianship. Alex, would you agree?
Yeah, just this morning we saw another Australian company announce that they're going to be getting into that custodian space as well. So typically in the past, high net worth individuals have got on board before the stock market and those ETFs. So I actually don't think the ETF is going to get approved in the next couple of months, as much as I'd love to see it happen. I think there's still a few boxes that need to be ticked. So it's the fact that we're even talking about a Bitcoin ETF that gives everything so much legitimacy, and it's going to encourage those high net worth individuals to start reading about Bitcoin and trying to beat the market. They want to get in and have a nice bag to hold on to before everyone rushes into an ETF, and the retail everyday investor can buy Bitcoin by just clicking a button on their stock market account. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing at the moment, in terms of no one wants to announce that they're accumulating and buying, because everyone wants to get all this Bitcoin nice and low, and then we'll see all the positive news and try and pump it up as high as they can to make money. And that's the cycle that we've seen play out over and over again over the years, and each time there's more people in that cycle.
And one follow-up question on that for you, Alex. We've seen a lot of people actually putting in these ETF applications. We have the CBOE, we have BlackRock. I know we actually have some ETFs already being traded in the UK, and I think there's some coming to the Netherlands quite soon. But obviously everyone's looking at the US market. It is really the market leader when it comes down to it. So do you think that these applications are going to be successful anytime soon, or do you think they're going to keep running into flak?
I think they're going to keep running into flak for the time being, because it's just too many unknowns. And once they give it the green light of approval and one thing goes wrong, it kind of egg on their face forever. But I think people always forget, and we look to the US and all those news headlines and websites that come out of that sort of part of the world. But as soon as Korea gives it the green light, or China comes back, or the US is so insignificant really in the scheme of things, even though we put so much weight in what they think and all the policy. So any part of the world, maybe even Australia, can overwhelm with our demand in the next crazy run. Who knows? But I think there's so much to like that we don't have to wait for the US and an ETF specifically. Yeah.
That's great. I agree. There's a big world out there, and we all tend to look at the U.S. a little bit too much. I always try to take the global perspective without a doubt. Captain Crypto, where are you weighing in on this?
Yeah, and I'm from the U.S. I'm currently in Los Angeles, and so I love BlackRock. For retirement, that's what I would put my ETFs into. So I do trust their ETFs, but there's one thing, probably gonna get a lot of flack, but Bitcoin is a world. Here we go. I'm just gonna say it. Bitcoin is a world currency. And there's one thing that you can't do, and is you can't get in between the American government and their money. If you get in between them, there's going to be trouble. Regardless, that's just an objective view that I've noticed. And you can hate all you want, but if you think about it, if we don't pay our taxes, I'm getting exported back to, I'm mixed, so Portugal or wherever I'm from. We got to find my ancestry.com. But you can't get between America and its money. So we have a lot of companies out there, coming out that are actually SEC compliant, that are compliant with with American laws. And I really believe that if America doesn't step it up, it's going to be the poorest country in the world.
It's going to get left behind. This is the thing, is that you see a lot of countries innovating ahead of America and actually getting ahead of that curve.
Right. Because it's legal everywhere else. Australia, even Mexico, like Canada. Canada, it doubled already. 85% of the people, 85% increase already. And, China, Europe. I went to Europe. Like it's prevalent everywhere except for America. And even in the industry, I work in Hollywood, and even the producers and stuff like that, they have no idea what it is. I think it's just that there's a lack of education, and they're scared. They don't think Zimbabwe is a real country because it's not backed by government money. Fiat's not, the American government doesn't back Bitcoin, so it's not a real currency. But, paper money has not been backed by gold since like the 1930s. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of change that needs to happen here in the States, and hopefully nobody knows where I live and they're not coming to kill me right now.
You're going to be okay. You're just hidden away in a secret location, my mate. So,
yeah.
Let's move on to our next one. The biggest competitor to Ethereum, in your opinion, and why do you think it's the biggest competitor to Ethereum? And do you think it's actually got a chance of succeeding where Ethereum might have had weaknesses, or do you think that Ethereum will remain the top dog?
Yeah, look, another good question, Lark. And I think, first of all, it's worth noting that there is a lot of competitors, right? So we know there's Neo, there's Cardano, there's Lisk, there's so many good competitors out there. And I do think there will be space for a lot of these protocols in the future. And I think what a lot of them will do is they will kind of float towards the industries that are most using their protocols. They'll kind of shift their business models to go where the business is going. Ethereum is also, whilst it is big, it is also very good at looking at being future forward, at thinking future ahead. And it comes down to their layer 2 scaling solutions, all the development work. Ethereum, they know they have to adapt. They know they have to change, and they've been working on that for years. So we can't underestimate how strong Ethereum is, and how strong I think it's going to stay for a very, very long time. In terms of its closest competitor, and I am biased because I do own this cryptocurrency, but Lisk is up there in one of my top dogs. And the reason why is because Lisk has been well established for a couple of years. They're one of the highest on Crypto Meso in terms of developments to their source code. They have for years. They're up there in, I think, number 3 or 2. The Chinese government has even rated Lisk as one of the top when they did their investment. I haven't looked at the metrics and how they came up with those figures, but Lisk was up there as well. It's also a very professional company. What I like about it is they have strong leadership, the way they're going about their education. They've got the Lisk Academy. They're really seeing this from a long-term picture, and they're also seeing it as how they can pitch developers and entrepreneurs to use their protocol rather than just assuming people are going to know that they've got the best tech. So I think they're taking a very kind of traditional company strategic model to their protocol, and I'm bullish on that long term.
I like it. Lisk's a great project. I've had the opportunity to talk to a few people from the team, and I've always been impressed by their enthusiasm and their knowledge. So, interesting choice without a doubt. Alex, where do you weigh in? Will Ethereum remain the top dog?
Yeah, I mean, I like Bo's point as well, because I think Lisk are using JavaScript, which is one of the most common languages in the world. So you're going to see them, drift towards industries, and it becomes all about business partnerships. Who's actually going to use your blockchain? We get to that point where it doesn't really matter how much something's getting hyped on Reddit or Facebook. People are going to have to start using it. Correct. But in terms of Ethereum, I think the number is 250,000 developers compared to some of these other projects. And, the white paper for a new project says it does 1 million transactions per second. But if you listen to Vitalik talk, he's been saying for years that once we have, only 2 or 3 scaling solutions, we will get to 1 million or 1 billion transactions per second. So I think everyone sort of forgets that, hey, Ethereum's planning to do everything that all these other projects talk about doing as well. And we've seen, nothing against EOS. So I own a bit of EOS as well, but look at how much of a mess that's been in the launch. And we're starting to see problems about governance and all those things about, it's not just throughput, it's about, governance, decentralization. And I think that decentralization thing is going to become more important going forward. And you're going to see people continually go back to Bitcoin, and the new wave of investors will seek out altcoins and feel they've missed the wave. And then Bitcoin will probably have a run and they'll jump in once it's already gone up. And again, these cycles continue each time.
That's it. That's it. There's so much potential in all these different ones too, and this is something I talked about in my stream last week. Ethereum's working on it, and Ethereum, just because it was the first, doesn't mean it will always be, number two on CoinMarketCap, or to say that something else won't even rise above Bitcoin one of these days. But if you look at it, the competition is incredibly fierce right now, and we have a lot of people who have the second mover advantage, actually. Ethereum was first, and they have the bigger market cap, but they also have basically problems that are grandfathered in that it's harder then to move out of. Captain Crypto, what do you think? Biggest competitor Ethereum, and why?
Okay, so if time is on my side, I would choose Cardano, simply because I feel like there are no holes in the code this time. I don't know if you guys know about Charles Hoskinson and his history. Ethereum Classic, it got hacked, and he's still stuck by it because of the immutability. I also think that Ethereum Classic is on its rise because, they do focus on the coding. They are not switching to proof of stake. And as much as that hurts our environment, it also proves that you have to actually do actual work. You have to invest your own money into this to get your reward, and it's immutable. And Ethereum Classic could be one of the runners, but it's not going to come close, I don't think. But it's going to come. I think it's going to have a lot of growth. But Cardano, it's written in the Haskell language, meaning it's just input and output. And Charles Hoskinson, since it got hacked, he's going to make sure it's not going to happen again. So therefore, he's writing it in this language that's just much shorter, much quicker, very difficult to get hacked. And it's solid because they self-audit, and they also have epochs and delegated proof of stake. It's 86 pages. If you read through all of it, it's there. Everything is there. Everything's peer-reviewed. Everyone's PhD. They might have launched their roadmap a little too quick. They get the hype up there. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to go, and they hit $1. But if you give it time, if you give this tech some time, I think Cardano is gonna run like real close to Ethereum. Yeah, but still, Ethereum is king right now.
Awesome. Great answers all around. And look, there's a lot of great blockchains. This is something I was mentioning last week, is that there's so many really dedicated teams out there building really awesome tech. And we are going to live in a multi-blockchain world without a doubt. And I know a lot of people put hype down, but there's actually a certain bit of importance, I feel at least, and you guys can feel free to chime in on this, to hype. If you can't get people excited about your project and nobody knows about your project, no matter how damn good your tech is, if no one knows about it, no one invests in it, no one's using it, what the heck's the point, right? So a little bit of hype does do a good thing. You just don't want to go like the Verge route and do like, hey, we're going to do like a fundraiser for an announcement, then we're going to do a partnership. It's not really that important because like a week later somebody else nails that same partnership, and on and on and on it goes. So what do you guys think about the hype train when it comes to cryptocurrency? Is it a danger to cryptocurrencies to be on the hype train, or is it something that they can actually benefit a bit from? Alex, why don't you weigh in here first?
Yeah, I think you need overinvestment. So just like in the dot-com bubble where everyone talks about, how much it popped. Well, if you're a VC investor at the time, maybe you did 9 of those companies you invested in did go broke, but maybe the 10th one, went up 100-fold. So the more research you do, the more likely you are to have your winners outweighing your losers. But I think sometimes people expect that every video we cover just means that you go out and buy every coin and every coin's going to go up. Some of the really good ones are still not going to work, and some of the bad ones might work for 2 years, then go to zero. So it's all about sort of having more winners than losers, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. Bo, what do you think?
Look, I think I agree with Alex, and I think we've seen this environment change so much in the past 12 months. See, back 12 months ago, just launching an ICO, you were guaranteed hype, not just because the market cap was going up and everyone was making money, but there wasn't much competition. So there's now over 1,600 cryptocurrencies. There's probably 10 to 15 protocols. You can't stand out. It is very, very hard. So for companies launching even early this year, getting people interested is very difficult. And it's not just going to come down to the tech anymore. And this is what I said to some guys in San Francisco. They said our tech's the best. And it's like, who cares? If no one knows about that, they're not going to use your protocol. So getting people interested, getting people talking about your project, and doing that through, whether it's hype, whether it's getting different media talking about it, is going to become more and more and more important the more saturated this market becomes.
Nice. Just before you weigh in here, Captain Crypto, I just want to read a comment out from Crypto Galaxy X. He says, Buzz versus shill. Buzz is needed and positive. Shill is a pumper's dream and negative. Captain Crypto, do you agree with him?
Yes, I do. I do agree, because shilling is like, it's like Tron.
You see, the thing is, Tron's because Tron has so much money, they're going to deliver like the best blockchain in the world in like 2 years. Everyone's going to be like, Tron.
Got my new Justin Sun, got my picture on, my Lambo. All right, I'm gonna stop talking trash. But anyways, yeah, I think Buzz is different because Buzz will last longer. Shilling, because it's like somebody comes out and tweets it, and then it goes, and then they just sell it, and it's I hate it. I hate it so much because you're just taking away from the new investors, and these new guys. Why are we taking the money from them? We're giving them a chance to really try to invest in something, and we're going to take all their money. That's just wrong in my opinion. So I think Buzz is good, but you got to be able to differentiate Buzz from shilling.
Yeah, and so many people are getting burned in the cryptocurrency markets, and that's highly problematic because you see the hype that gets pushed in, and especially for new investors, it gets really problematic really quick, because you got to remember that for every person who comes in and gets burned, it's very problematic. I managed a restaurant for quite a few years, and it's just absolutely true that one person comes in and has a great meal, and they tell one or two people about it. Person comes in and has a bad experience, they tell every single person, the taxi driver, the bus driver, their dentist, like everybody gets told about it. And you just apply that to the whole cryptocurrency market, and all of a sudden, Bitcoin, big scam. I invested in it at $20,000. It went down to $6,000. I had to sell it. What a big scam this is. Like, no, you bought the top and then you sold the bottom, man. What are you doing? But that's what people perceive, right? So it's very, very problematic. Bo, what would be your top tip to keep safe in the crypto markets?
Just research and look and seek as many opinions as you can. It's what I do. Try and correlate information that resonates with you as authenticity and truth. Take personal responsibility. That's a big one as well. And research and know what you're investing into. Okay, that's the thing with cryptocurrencies is it is so volatile. But as soon as the people can hone in on where this tech is going and how early we are, that's the thing that really drives people in for long-term investing. So I think always just do as much research as you can. Try and separate the hype, from the underlying message. And when you're reading articles or looking at media, always go to the source, because you'll often find sometimes the article has been maybe misconstrued from the source. So that's something I really recommend to people as well.
That's right. And also to consider who's actually saying what about what. It's like when Jamie Dimon and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Peter Schiller and all these guys come out talking bad about Bitcoin. I just think, well, of course they're talking bad about Bitcoin. They're all invested in the old system. They're all invested in traditional banking and all these things. So again, think about motives as well. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, so coming back to research again, I think a lot of people find out about Bitcoin, they've got their 10 grand, they throw it all in. And then the next week they'll read about another coin and they'll wish they had kept some money. So always trying to keep a bit of money on the sidelines because it's crypto, and there's always, a big pullback around the corner and better prices, whether for the whole market or individual coins. And if you're at the barbecue telling everyone about it, say to them, oh, look, I'm researching this coin and I'm hoping to buy some more each week, but I'm still learning it as you go, rather than saying, hey, I bought crypto and I made this much money, and they just follow you blindly and then they go all in. And we just see it so often that people wish they had staggered themselves and taken their time when they first got in.
Absolutely. Taking your time is so, so important, without a doubt. Captain Crypto, what do you think?
I think stick with classics. Just like the Beatles, they're classics. Why are they classics? Because they're classic projects. So if you take that philosophy and you stick with the classics, and find projects that have uses like 0x, right? You can build on top of it. Ethereum, right? You can build on top of it. There's a use case for all these platform coins. And also, I would say, in order to keep it safe, you have to learn how to play defense, which is something that many people don't think about, because you're always trying to, buy. But what do you do when the market is dropping? Do you sell? Do you hold? Yeah, you can hold, or you can sell a little bit of it into, finance coin, or you can sell it back to, when the market dips really hard, people can hate all they want, but all of it eventually goes back into Bitcoin. or Tether, but Tether's not.
Different story for a different day.
Can I just expand on that a little bit, Lark?
Sure, go ahead.
So stick to the classics. If we get these top 10, we've got Crypto 20 that's tracking the 20. If we get all these people building investment products, it's a no-brainer that money's just going to flow into Bitcoin and Ethereum and then the top 10, 20, whatever it is. But again, you're going to see all those newbies that are kind of trying to pick the alts and feeling that they've missed out and it's too late. And a lot of people that maybe just buy Bitcoin and buy Ethereum and leave it will outperform all these people that are picking crazy alts and ICOs. So if money's going to flow into space, don't overcomplicate it. I think it's a really good message.
And just to touch on what Alex said as well, this is what I tell people. When you look at Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, these are some of the coins that have got the longest data record, not only just for price performance, but the technology as well. I mean, here you've got technologies that have survived. Ethereum's obviously had the DAO. But Bitcoin, you've got this crypto that's been operating for over 8 years with a source code stronger than ever. You've got market performance data there for 8 years. I mean, if you're looking at the most stable, I guess, lowest risk, but that can be interpreted many ways, they're the ones that you want to stick with.
Right.
Nice.
Right. And to jump on that, there's a site called Bitcoin Obituaries. It kind of shows you that Bitcoin's died like 300 times.
So true. So true.
Watch out for fake news because, I'm Chinese. I don't want to hate. I'm going to get flack again. But it's a lot of fake news. Okay, so over there's, billions of people. So it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's not like developed here in America. It's not like Australia. It's more like, as much as I hate to say it, culturally, it's very different. And it's more about like, how can I out leverage you? And so I'll drop this fake news, get everybody scared to sell, and then I'll just buy your bags. And we've seen it happen already, And so any news that comes out of China, I just get ready to buy.
You're making me think about Jin Wang in Silicon Valley, where he goes and makes this Chinese version. Yeah.
And it's happening. It does happen. I feel like when Jamie Dimon first came out and started trash talking Bitcoin, it was like an experiment. Like, can we move the market? Oh, we did. Yep. Let's do it again and again and again. Hey, Bill. Yeah, Warren, can you talk bad about Bitcoin? We're trying to buy the bottom here, man.
The funny thing is, from what I've heard, is that OTC buys are the highest that a lot of people have seen them. So take that for what you will. But people buying OTC are buying massive amounts.
Big. They're buying big. That's right. And it's not always registering on the day-to-day prices, but man, the OTC market is absolutely exploding right now, and that is something to really, really keep in mind. Just a quick note here, Kalana, I see in the chat here. Kalana, you won the shirt the other day. Make sure you message me your postal address so I can get that Crypto Lark shirt out to you. And I thought we'd do a quick think on your feet game here, guys. I'm going to give you the name of cryptocurrency. You tell me what classic band that cryptocurrency is. You ready?
Okay.
Sorry, Lark, I think you need to expand on that a little bit, mate.
So, for example, Bitcoin is the Beatles.
Oh, classic band. Oh,
okay,
man.
Ready?
I'm not a big music fan, but all right,
I'm
go.
not a music fan at all.
Try.
Is this anybody can say anything, or is it just one by one?
Yeah, everyone can say anything. Let's do it. Ethereum.
Let's do it. I'm down. Is that Ethereum?
Yep.
Dead mouse.
You said what?
Anyone Ethereum?
Gorillas.
I'm feeling Pink Floyd personally for some reason.
Daft Punk, yeah.
Ooh. I said gorillas.
Oh, here we go. Crypto Galaxy X says Ethereum equals the Stones. Nice. All right, you ready? Trigger time. Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, God.
You had to say it, didn't you, Lark?
It's like a band with a new singer, lead singer.
Nickelback.
This is how you remind me.
Kesha.
Oh, great. Alex, any thoughts?
Oh, I was going to say any band that has a breakup and a new lead singer. Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those. EOS. I'm feeling like Moby or something like that. Something kind of like funky, psychedelic.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
James Blunt jumping from relationship to relationship.
Yeah. Highly controversial.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, just because I like them.
Nice. RHC, that's a good one. I dig it. All right. back to serious crypto talk, guys. Serious crypto talk. Okay. So We were actually talking about this a little bit, and Alex mentioned this a minute ago a little bit, and I wanted to actually really expand on this because he kind of mentioned the idea of, having that little bit of fiat on the side in order to be able to hedge in and hedge out of positions when you do see a dip. And I feel like so many people aren't actually doing this. So I want to ask you guys, what is your favorite stable coin and why? This is like as hard as the previous question, about.
Yeah. I'll go first and basically say that I don't have one because I don't really look into stable coins that much. It's kind of not really in my portfolio, and I don't trade. I don't trade, so that's something that's not really in my periphery.
Fair enough. Alex?
I've been following Maker for 2 or 3 years. Absolutely love Maker Die, and that's all starting to really come to the point now. They just lift their debt ceiling to $100 million the other day, so that'll be one that I'll be happy to take some profits and sit on my ledger as my own bank in the next run. Yeah.
There you go.
I would say Litecoin and Binance token.
Oh, interesting. Hedging out into other crypto assets. I like it. And honestly, a lot of people just hedge out into Bitcoin. It's like, oh, markets are getting a bit funky. I'm going to get into Bitcoin here. And, have that as my safe place. One of my favorite stable coins, though, would be probably Digix. And that's just a whole different concept because you're not actually hedging out into dollars if you believe in dollars. If you don't believe in dollars, you can hedge into gold, which is why I like the DGX token. And, of course, you just get it straight from Kyber Network. It's super, super easy, which is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Could you explain to my audience a little bit about that? Just as if I was 12 years old, how they would do that as a newbie?
Sure, absolutely. Basically, in the same way that like Tether is a representation of $1 based on the fact that, the guys from Tether are supposed to have the dollars sitting in the bank. The guys from Digix, they have gold-backed tokens, and they have a vault in Singapore that's regularly audited, and they basically issue out gold-based tokens, so every one DGX token is the equivalent of 1 gram of gold. You can just buy those straight from your Kyber network wallet. It's an ERC20 token, so...
Yeah, so I think it was 2 weeks ago, Lark, was it? Or maybe longer. It's the crypto world. But just by plugging in your hardware wallet and going to My Ether wallet, you can now sell profits and go straight to DGX. So Kyber's integrated into My Ether wallet now, which is awesome.
Is it in My Crypto or no?
Oh, good question. I don't think so yet.
I don't think it's in My Crypto yet, but definitely, man, Kyber. I don't know if you have... Bo, have you used Kyber Network yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man, you got to check it out. It's only ERC20 tokens. They only have about maybe 30 different tokens listed already, but it is just so easy to use. It's ridiculous. Like anytime I can buy something with it, and they've only got, like I said, like 30 different tokens. I do, because it's just, why would you send your money off to a centralized exchange or, go through the drama of using IDEX? Not that IDEX is difficult to use, but when you see how easy Kyber is, you realize, wait a second, IDEX seems superfluous. But it just doesn't have the listings yet, which is the problem. So
I'll check it out.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
hope though, because just because I'm biased and we know Taylor and Jason, Civillary, and they're our friends. So shout out to those guys. They're doing really well. I respect them a lot. With, others. So, but My Ether wallet's cool too.
Yeah. No problems with My Ether wallet either. I've used it lots, without a doubt. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. ICO market. The ICO market. So what do you think about the current state of the ICO market? Are we moving in a positive direction with the ICO market, or is it getting overhyped, overinflated? Are we in bubble zone? Bo?
I definitely don't think we're in bubble zone at the moment. I think, if anything, a lot of ICOs are probably really struggling to meet their funding targets. We've seen such a drastic reduction in overall interest into cryptocurrencies, and that correlates across, obviously, our world, YouTube, correlates across, news outlets, it correlates to ICO investment. I think this is the downtrend has really forced a lot of ICOs to change tactic and maybe to look at different ways to approach this, whether that's extending their funding period, more so because they've had to. But the market's gone through such a rapid maturing process that I think it's kind of shaken everyone up. And it's causing, I think, a positive change. I think it's going in a positive direction. I hope the ICO model stays because I think it's so good that it allows anyone to get involved. I think the opportunities are going to become harder and harder to grab, and I think that's already been evident. And we've obviously seen, a lot of ICOs go down the private funding model which is, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of benefits for these big ICOs to be just going straight to the venture capital funds. It takes away all the drama of actually running the ICO. And I don't think that a lot of people think about it, but you got lawyer fees to pay, you have marketing fees to pay, you have security fees to pay. It actually costs, like, I've heard upwards of $1 million to even run an ICO in the first place, depending on, how much marketing and whatnot you're doing and how serious your lawyers are and what jurisdiction you're in. But that's ridiculous when you think about it. So it's no wonder that, we are seeing the situation developing as it is. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the free market sort of side of me gets sad when we see how it's gone full circle, and a lot of people are going straight back to private or only offering, to big pre-sale pools because, that benefit of globally anyone can send in $10 to an ICO if they want, if you've got a smartphone in Africa or whatever. Like, that is the model that I want to get back to. And it probably comes down to, again, in the free market world, maybe people do need to get burnt and invest in one bad project or a scam and become really picky with their funds. I don't necessarily think we need these regulators to come in and say, you can't advertise on Facebook. Only, sophisticated investors can participate. Yeah. Again, it's just the overarching arm of the government that I think has ruined the space a little bit. And it's probably the space itself being greedy that's brought about its own downfall. But I hope in the future we get back to truly decentralized fundraising.
Absolutely. The ICO model is amazing beyond belief, but it's got to be done fair. And unfortunately, a lot of ICOs aren't actually incentivized to make it fair. I mean, so many of them just, however much you want to invest, we don't care. It can all go to the whales. It can all go to the venture capital funds. We just want to get our money, right? They're not actually worried like, hey, we're going to give, $500 caps to everybody so we have a nice fair investment and all that stuff. It hasn't been happening as much as it needs to be anyway. Nathan, what do you think?
I think I agree from all of the above. And I think something that's changed because of the private sale, maybe something that could be good, is the longer lockups. They're locking in you guys for like 3 years, 4 years to ensure that you guys really actually believe in the project, instead of just like before when you're doing an ICO, as soon whatever you put in is what you get back, right? And then you dump it and boom, you turn 1F into 37F, 37F into 64, and then you're rich. But now they lock it up. They only give you 20%, 15%, and then they're holding it for 2 years to ensure, not only dollar cost averaging, but also the fact that you are long-term invested, which is a good thing. And I think people are starting to be more careful because anyone can start a token. We could start a crypto Lark, Nugget, cryptocurrency Australia, Cryptonauts token.
Go launch it on them within 5 minutes. Boom.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll just chill. So I mean, I think the lockups are good. But I do agree that it should ultimately go back to the people. That's why we were in it in the first place.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people forget this is all about decentralizing the world and taking the power away from the big banks and giving the power back to the people. And this is what all these blockchain projects can do. Crypt Zero Bank made a good point, is that the Nigerian prince scam has been going around for a long time and no one's shut down email because of it. So that's good.
That's good.
So what's a good ICO then? What are you actually looking for when you're presented with ICOs? And I know you guys all get tons of emails just like I do, and I just open them up and like, within about 5 seconds, I can usually tell that's a pile of garbage. And every once in a while, though, you do see, oh, this is intriguing. I want to check it out a little bit more. So what are you looking for in a good ICO, and what do you qualify as being a good ICO?
Yeah, it's such a tough question to answer because the space changes so frequently. But some of the things that I look for is, first of all, the language. And what I mean by that is the tone in the messaging, the tone in the marketing, the tone in the documentation, because that is a really good indicator of the mindset of the people behind actually drafting or creating this project. And obviously another huge one, like I have kind of a vetting process I go through before I'll invest my time in reading a white paper. And team is a huge one. And I like to look for advisors with credibility that have agreed to have their name on a project, because that, to me, that's part of the vetting process that's already been completed, especially if it's someone with a fair bit of stature and notoriety in the industry. But in terms of technology, I mean, it's such a hard one because the place is so saturated at the moment. But if I see an idea, if I see something that catches my attention somehow, obviously the layout of the site and stuff helps as well, little things like that. But yeah, that's kind of my thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. Good points without a doubt. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to find those unique ideas now, isn't it? Everything's pretty saturated. But if there's something that hasn't got much competition, or an industry that hasn't been changed in, a couple of decades, the ones we're kind of talking about, like in terms of voting, or maybe agriculture, and just looking for those things that maybe not everyone's doing, that industry isn't using technology at all much, let alone blockchain technology. So something like that, looking for things that can really benefit from a facelift, is probably what we're looking for, those standouts. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is actually a really interesting point, is that there's so much out there actually happening right now in the cryptocurrency space, and there's all these new ideas being tested out, and some of them are really, really exciting, whereas other ICOs are kind of, the 7-minute abs kind of conversation. Well, we're doing it a quarter of a second faster than the other guys, so therefore we're awesome, goes $50 million. It's not actually bringing that much to the table, but there will be a lot of players disrupting major industries will be totally overturned, and it'll be the same thing that when CDs came around and just destroyed cassettes, or when the MP3 came around and wrecked CDs. These industries will almost disappear overnight, and it's without a doubt going to be happening. It's just a question of which industries and when are going to be first, that is, because a lot of it is definitely pushing in this direction. It's the insurance industry, the banking industry, the IoT industry. Everything is looking for a big facelift in terms of what ICOs can offer. Nathan, where do you feel on this?
Can I go back to the last question?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. What's a good ICO? How do you find a good one? I mean,
I think we should follow the MVP, having a product that's already out there, a code that people can look at, and the white paper. A lot of these ICOs, they look like treatment decks. Working here in Hollywood as a director, you often send out treatments, right, for a commercial for Dunkin' Donuts, and it looks just like these decks that we're getting. They're just PowerPoint presentations. So for the white paper, it looks like a PowerPoint presentation. It's not really technical. You want to go technical. You want to be able to read it and not understand what it says. Yeah, and it also goes back to, if everyone could follow what Satoshi did, that would be great, because so far, Satoshi spent 18 months creating the code. So the Bitcoin protocol came first, and then the white paper came out. So if we could do that, then, I would believe in it more. But so far, it's usually just like, here's what we're going to do, and we're going to run away with your money, Yeah. And that's not good. Yeah. And then what was the question that I was actually supposed to answer?
No, that was the question you were supposed to answer. So that's good. It's definitely tricky. And look, obviously there's a lot of key indicators to look for in terms of, do they have an MVP? Do they have code on GitHub? If they don't, maybe they have something else. Is that an existing company with a legitimate idea and legitimate partnerships, legitimate venture capital funds that have actually got out there and got invested? All right, next question for you guys. Killer dApp. What do you think is the hottest dApp going right now?
Look, I must say, and I talk about this a lot, and it's because I invested in this project in the early days, and I think Lark's going to know what I'm going to say. And I think Ethos is an awesome application. I think that they're one of the few that is acquiring users, that actually has an incredible use case for the token within their decentralized application, and that's why I like it. It's been the implementation, it's been the go-to market. So they're acquiring users, they're using users, and they've got both business to business and business to consumer strategies for acquisition. So they're going to have customers across a broad spectrum. They've got the use cases well defined. In terms of transactions happening through the application, I don't know that yet. Maybe that's a metric that we should be using for a killer dApp. Which one has the most transactions going through it per second? That would have been CryptoKitties a few months ago. But that's one that I think is a really exciting project.
Absolutely. I've been following Ethos for a while, and I'm sure everyone else has at least have it on the radar, but definitely an interesting one without a doubt. Alex, what do you think? What is the killer dApp in your opinion?
I'm not sure about dApp, but protocol. So I know you mentioned Kyber, but we've followed 0x since the start, and that is so exciting. And I think Radar Relay is one of the most friendly looking decentralized exchanges. Pretty excited about that one, Nathan, which is good to see. But yeah, whoever wins that race to decentralized exchanges, whether it's Binance come up with something brilliant, that's going to change the way that we trade, and hopefully that integrates nicely with some of these cool wallets that Bo's talking about, multi-coin wallets and all that sort of thing in one place, just making it so easy for the everyday person. Because at the moment, you guys know what it's like. You've got a dozen wallets on your desktop, and you've got more than you'd like to have. That's
half
on the
them don't
hardware
work
wallet.
half the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point actually. The decentralizing of everything is going to be just massive, and to have that wallet, that golden, chalice or whatever we want to call it, the holy grail of crypto. Captain Crypto, what do you think?
So why I was cheering is because we're dropping a radar relay video tomorrow.
Oh, boom! There you go.
From beginning to animations and everything, and so it's just so funny that you brought it up because people are going to understand what it is tomorrow, not right now. So, so radar relay is up there, and then I would say one that's not very looked into is Dimple, DIMPULL.com, and it's for crypto experts. So you guys could sign up, and how it works is it's almost like a call system, right? So you set your own price. Let's say you want $100 an hour or $1,000, whatever it is, and someone wants to talk to a crypto expert. You open up, you put your schedule there, and somebody will call in from the Dimple number, and then through smart contracts, you talk to them. They say whatever, you can't, based on the law, you can't really give any financial advice besides like Bitcoin. Anything on Coinbase we can talk about, but you can't give any, financial advice. And so it's for 30, so you can charge $1 a minute, whatever it is. And so you talk to them and you meet these cool people, and they actually legitimately have questions, and they want to talk to you. So you talk to them, and I set my price a little lower because I do $1 a minute just because, I don't want to charge $1,000 for 30 minutes because I feel like I just want to meet more people and talk to them. So I talk to them. This is not a phone. This is
that's her phone.
So I talk to them. Yeah. Hey, what's going on? And then as soon as the call ends, as soon as it's past 30 minutes, the smart contract goes through. They both get feedback, and your ETH, it goes straight to your ETH wallet.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can sign up right now. DIMPULL.
I think I will.
There you go. We've got a couple like that actually at the moment. I reviewed Anything app recently. It's kind of doing something similar, and they're focusing on just the Thai market to start with, and then we have what was another one? It's Experty. That's right. Experty is kind of going in the same direction as well. I'm glad you guys give a nice range of answers because there are a lot of exciting dApps actually coming out. Cryptonauts says, what's it called again? It was Dimple, right? DIMPLE.
DIMPULL.com.
There you go. And so there's a lot of exciting dApps coming out, and there's just so many. My answer would probably be something like Horizon State, just because I'm really excited about the potential applications for voting on the blockchain. I think it's a really cool use case, and they've got some really great partnerships and all these things. But it's great because all of these are going to come together to build this beautiful ecosystem of blockchain goodness, where we're all going to get to hang out with blockchain time.
Yeah.
If you guys are asking about Radar Relay, Radar Relay is the technology underneath. What were we talking about again? It's Bancor. Bancor. Which 0x. That's right, 0x. Yeah, so it's part of what 0x does. So for anyone asking how do you buy a Radar Relay, you actually want to go look into 0x, or just wait until tomorrow, and the Cryptonauts video is going to drop about it, and you can get some more information about it that way. So that's a pretty good way to get it done.
I would say think of it like Craigslist for token trading, and you get to choose what you want to trade. It doesn't lock up your funds. So you have centralized, decentralized, and you have Relayer.
Nice. I like it. So we've got an explosion of dApps happening, but I feel like in the past few months, we've moved to this situation where we're actually having an explosion of platforms happening. I mean, how many blockchains are there right now? It's redonkulous, guys. Seriously, there are so many of them. It's hard to deal with. Do we have too many platforms at the moment? Should developers and ICOs actually be focusing more on building dApps that are actually going to be working on top of these blockchains? But what do you think?
Look, in regards to is there too many? This is the time where companies have the opportunity to prove that their technology is going to be effective. And in this tough market, this is the toughest time. I don't think there will be as many as what there are now in the future. I think there will be several. And I think, as I said earlier, that they will end up floating towards the industries that they are best serving. So some of those might be government, some might be fintech, some might be dApps, I think certain protocols will move towards, simply from a business perspective, I mean, if they want to survive, they're going to have to move towards where the business is. So yeah, I think it's very early, and we don't know which one's going to be the ultimate one at the end. But I think, it's going to take a few years till we get there.
Nice. Alex, what do you think? Too many blockchains, not enough dApps?
Yeah, far too many. I think it's 2,000 platforms out there now, isn't it? When I looked the other day. So, I mean, is there a couple of dozen, going for the high throughput million plus per second? And I think there'll be one or two in a few years. So I definitely think there's going to be 90% reduction. It's a bit like the internet. Everyone in the beginning in the 90s was talking about, we'll have our own little internet, and then it obviously works better if everyone's on the same internet or can at least plug into the same internet. So that's kind of where I see Ethereum going if it scales, and everyone having Plasma, their own blockchain within blockchains. Yeah.
There you go, Captain Crypto.
I agree. I think there's a lot of platforms out there. Each country's launching their own platform,
That's right. We have the ETH of Singapore, the ETH of South Korea, the ETH of Japan, the ETH of Zimbabwe is coming. I'm just waiting for it. I'm going to invest in that one when it comes.
That's what I'm gonna put all in on. Yeah, there's a lot of platforms out there. I think people. I mean, but that being said, though, there are a lot of platforms, but we do have to have a good foundation to build a house on. Like, what if you're building a bunch of dApps on a platform that doesn't work? That would be even more problematic. So I think too many platforms, but give it time. It's still really early. Let these platforms develop and let them be solid. Let them actually have very, very large utilities first. And then when the dApps come, it'll be smoother. Because if we start building dApps now, I mean, on Ethereum it's fine, but there's a lot of blockchains that are still developing. And so give it time. Time is always better. Good things take time.
Absolutely. Final question for you guys for today. This is from Atomic Sparks. He's wondering if Bitcoin will last the next 10 years. Will we still have Bitcoin in 10 years, or will Bitcoin still be relevant, perhaps, as the more pertinent question in 10 years?
My answer is yes, absolutely yes. Not only will it last, but I think it will surprise a lot of people that are underestimating the developments coming to it. So I would look closely into the Lightning Network, and I would look into all the future developments coming to it. It's the most worked on source code. It's the most refined source code. It's the most well-known. It's 99% chance likely to have the first ETF. I think Bitcoin will not only survive, but it will thrive.
Nice. Alex?
Yeah, I think it's the first digital scarce asset in history. Like, say no more. Every year people are going to lose their private key. In 10 years' time, a lot of people will have passed away that were maybe whales. It's the ultimate deflationary currency. And if that's only been a store of value, what if we get Lightning Network and it becomes a world currency of sorts? There's so many things that are putting upwards pressure on the price. And I made those videos, can Bitcoin get to $1 million? A little bit tongue in cheek, but I don't see why it can't in 10 years. Yeah.
Captain Crypto?
It's lasted this long, right? And it's resilient. And not only that, but if you really think about it, you have to invest your own money, like proof of work, like going back to that, like eventually, no matter what, you only need one, okay? You only need one of these. You only need one Bitcoin because it takes so much money and so much computing power just to get it, to get a reward. But it's set in stone. This protocol is not going to go anywhere. It's set in stone, as in you can't really program it in the future, and the blockchain is just getting longer. So it's just going to get harder and harder to hack, and hacking it won't really do anything. So it's going to be there. It's here to stay. And there's a quote from Satoshi. He said, this might be a silly quote, but if you think about the deeper meanings, he said, in about 20 years, like this was back in 2000, 2008, 2009, he said, Bitcoin will either be worth a lot or nothing at all. That means people will either be using it or they won't be using it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Either one or the other. There's no really middle ground. So I'm fighting for it to stay. That's all.
You know what I'm hearing, guys? To the moon! No, okay. We're being silly, of course, but I absolutely agree. Look, it is incredibly secure. Bitcoin has earned its keep without a doubt. Sometimes people come in and they're like, oh, why is this Bitcoin thing worth all this money? Because Bitcoin's awesome. Because Bitcoin's earned its keep. Because Bitcoin is secure. Because Bitcoin is decentralized. A lot of other cryptocurrencies are struggling to get to that same level as Bitcoin, and so many have built off the Bitcoin code, which tells you a lot about the Bitcoin code in of itself. So there you go. Guys,
Well, that's why
go ahead.
That's why I've got the Bitcoin white paper behind me.
Oh, you
That's
got
it.
that? I'm waiting for
Limited
mine.
edition.
Nice.
I'm waiting for the mail. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
Man,
nice.
there's some cool crypto art going around out there. Without a doubt, I got to grab myself some of these days and get like a nice, like big, Bitcoin and Ethereum behind me here. Anyway, guys, this has been super, super awesome. Bo, Alex, Nathan, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to come out here and chat with me today. And anybody who's not subscribed to Cryptocurrency Australia, Nuggets News, or the Cryptonauts yet, get out there and check out their channels. They all do super awesome content, which is why I'm always just so excited and honored to get a chance to talk to you guys. So thank you so much for coming out and having a chat with me today.
Thanks for having me, Lark.
Thanks for having us. Sometime next week.
Absolutely.
You're
Absolutely,
killing it,
guys.
Lark. So yeah, keep up the good work, mate.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.
Take care, guys.